Welcome everyone to Cab's Clubhouse. I am Kabora, a longtime player of Star Trek Fleet Command, and your instructor in these tutorials. In this segment, I'll be talking about Armada Crews. I see players running various types of Armadas daily, and some of the crews that I see, honestly, make no sense. Players can greatly benefit from using proper Armada Crews to help them succeed in getting more loot from bigger Armadas, whether it be group Armadas or solos. I will in the future create a tutorial explaining the various Armada types. For now, let's start by explaining what are Armada Crews. Armada Crews are used against various types of group, solo Armadas, and invading entities, and are much better than a non-Armada crew. Some effects will include increased damage, specific types of damage, and better defense. Now that we know what Armada Crews are, we are going to look at some crewing combinations and other ways that will help you to successfully defeat bigger Armadas, and in the end give you more loot for Armada pulls in the Alliance tab. I would like to note that when it comes to solo Armadas, many will let you join up to 3 ships, Krenim solos only allow 2 ships, and Conqueror Borg Armadas allow 3 ships, but you need to have 1 of each ship type, including 1 Explorer, 1 Battleship, and 1 Interceptor. With that being said, let's look at the good, better, and best that Armada crewing has to offer. We'll start with the good crews, being the OG Armada crews. So we start off with the PBK crew, which has Kirk, Spock, and Khan. This is one that many players have used for a very long time. It gives shield regen, morale, and crit chance. And then we also have the 5-6K crew, which is 5 of 11, 6 of 11, and Khan. This crew will give damage, loot, mitigation, and crit chance. And these are still considered the old reliable Armada crews. And something to note, if you're using the Ops 34 Enterprise, Spock's ability is built in, so you can swap out Spock in the first crew for 5. Next, we will look at the better crews, which are also called the meta crews. So we start off with the DS9 crew, which includes Cisco, Changeling Kira, and Miles O'Brien. So this crew is going to give you crit chance, mitigation, and extra shots, which can be very, very helpful and do a lot of damage, which is really important. And then we also have the Voyager crew, which gives crit damage, extra shots as well, and ISO damage. So these are still the go-to Armada crews for most players. And when we talk about the meta crews, we're talking about the most effective tactical advantage. So these crews are going to give you that. And again, these are the crews to use when you're doing Armadas nowadays. And note, swapping out Kira or 7 on either for DeMarco will also give you better isolytic damage. These 4 crews will help you to be successful in defeating many different Armada types, whether group or solo. And yet there are a few more that will benefit you in other ways as well. So we have the entity and group specific Armada crews. So we'll start with the entity crew, which includes Tulra, Bear, and Tully. So this crew works both against invading entities as well as most Armadas. So this increases crit chance, loot, and extra shots. And then we have the FCM crew, which includes FCM Data, Zephyrum, and Mara. So this is only for group Armadas or open Armadas. This will not work on invading entities, but it will give you ISO damage, loot, extra shots, and ISO defense. These Armada crews do improve greatly with officer rank, so keep that in mind as well. Lastly, we have the punch-up crews. So the punch-up Armada crews, we have PB Gwen, which is Picard, Crusher, and DeMarco. And this crew will work against invading entities as well as most Armadas, and includes mitigation, crit damage, as well as an ISO damage boost. And then we have the just damage, straight damage Armada crew. So this one is Tulra, Miles O'Brien, and DeMarco. And this again works on most Armadas, and it will give you extra shots, loot, as well as ISO damage. Again, these crews will greatly improve once you hit rank 5 on the officer. And these crews' effectiveness will vary and will require some testing just of your limitations. These are the crews that I use most often and will do the most damage. We also need to consider our below decks officers when crewing for Armadas. So we have our Voyager crew. So we have Torres, Neelix, and Kim. So we have hull breach from Torres, we have burning from Neelix, and we have morale from Kim. So depending on what ship you're on, sometimes that can actually be a benefit. So if you're using an interceptor, you usually want hull breach. If you're using a battleship, you want burning. And if you're using an explorer, you want to use morale. And then the other important officers to consider are Vale, because she gives a crit chance increase every time you get hit. And then we also have the Wrath of Khan officers. We have Wok Jokum and Wok McCoy. So Jokum is going to give you an increase in isolytic defense, and McCoy will give you an increase in armor, shield deflection, and dodge. You just want to note that Tom Paris also has a similar ability to McCoy, just not quite as effective. And finally, besides research and artifacts that can also increase your ability to defeat armadas, there are also the armada-specific forbidden tech. When put on the appropriate ships, can be an added advantage. So we have the Epic FTs, which are the Berserker Complex, the Hull Piercer, and the Druada Sentient Missile. So these ones do have to be put on specific ships. So the Berserker on the Interceptor, the Hull Piercer on the battleship, and the Druada on the Explorer. So depending on the tier that they're at, they will increase isolytic damage, increase shield piercing, armor piercing, and accuracy. And it will increase your critical damage as well as increase your critical chance. And then we have the rares. And the rares are kind of interesting because they state that they only work on hostiles, but they do also work on armadas. So we have the dual photon warheads, the S-31 torpedo pods, and the control seeker probes. So again, depending on tier, will increase armor, shield mitigation, and dodge, will increase your hull health, will increase shield piercing, armor piercing, and accuracy, as well as increase damage. And there are also three other FTs that are available, which is the Pro-Photonic Warhead, which only works on FKR ships. We have Borg nanoplating, which only works on solos. And then we have the transphasic torpedoes, which only works on group armadas. So I would like to add that when using the right ship to use with the right crew and forbidden tech, to also compare the DPR or damage per round. Some ships will also give a damage boost against specific armada types, but this doesn't always translate to all armadas. And if we actually compare our ship damage, you will see that some ships will give a lot more damage than other ships. And some of the damage, when it's low, it only gives extra damage against certain types of armadas. And some ships, like the Revenant, which has a really low damage per round, actually against the Continuum armadas has a really high damage per round. So that wraps up our tutorial on Armada Crews, and I will see you out there. Thanks for watching.